So yesterday we talked about some wonderful. Uh, yesterday we talked about something wonderful. क्या बात किया था हमने कल? How Maxwell fixed Ampere's law. That is what yesterday's topic was. Yes, that was the yesterday's topic. But now today we are going to learn something extraordinary. This lecture is going to be highly mathematical, highly mathematical. And point is that most of the times you do this mathematics, it is good for your exams because if you want to write the proofs and everything, you can write it just like that. But in actual sense, when you really want to understand it, what did we study and why we are teaching to electronic students this topic? Because if you will see your syllabus, there is a book called BB Loud, Electronics by BB Loud. This is your syllabus. The book is, this is your textbook of your syllabus. What do we mean by textbook? It means that we are trying to give you the content. So with the help of this content, you are able to read this book. This is our primary purpose. So हमारा पर्पस ये नहीं है कि आपको बस पढ़ा दे. Our purpose is that you are able to read this book. So we make it simple for you. But in this book, there are so many topics, but your syllabus is chosen with very care. Only few selected topics are being taught to you guys, as an electronic student. So why there are only few topics? That is what our today's discussion will be. And this is one of those topics. So today's topic will be highly mathematical till one point. And from that point, we will realize that why we are doing this mathematics. Okay. So today's topic is potentials of electromagnetic fields. So now yesterday we read a few Maxwell's equations. So four first ordered coupled equations. So what we learned was four first order. First order, what do we mean by first order? So there is all the derivatives, there are all the kind of derivatives, but there are none derivative which is of the second order. There was no derivative on either del by del t square or del square by del x square. There were no derivative which were derivatives which were second order derivatives. All the derivatives were first order. So all the equations were first order differential equations. And these equations were coupled equations. What do you mean by coupled equations? Oh, let me see. Let me show it to you. So first equation was this, second equation was this, third equation was this, and fourth equation was this. Now, what do we mean by coupled equations? These equations, the solution of these equations. What is the solutions of these equations? Can anybody who has a slightest idea, can anybody throw some light on this? That what do you understand when I say that let us solve these equations? What do you understand? Which quantity? Just like you have 2x plus y equal to 3 and 3x plus y equal to 4. These two equations are there. When I say you, when I tell you to solve these equations, what is in your mind? What is your purpose when I tell you to solve these equations? What is your purpose? Can anybody tell me?
To find the values of variables.
Yes, thank you very much. What is your name?
Subhashish.
Subhashish. Okay, yes. So our purpose is to find the values of these variables x and y. Yes, whenever we say to solve the equations, this is our purpose. Now, what are the variables in these equations? Because we know the charge density, we know the current density because we are supplying it. So which are the variables in these equations? Variables are electric field and magnetic field, and both of these guys are represented by three components: Ex, Ey, Ez. And this guy also has three components. So similarly, Bx, By, Bz. So these guys also represented by three components. So total these six components. That is what our purpose is. We want to solve these equations to find out these six numbers for any region whatsoever. So what this is the beauty of Maxwell's equation. It puts together the all known electrodynamics at just a one place. So any problem in electrodynamics, any problem in electrodynamics, you can solve if you know these four equations. You can definitely solve those problems. Okay. So our purpose is to know this electric field and magnetic field. But in these two equations, here electric field and magnetic field appear together. Here magnetic field and electric field appear together. So these equations are called coupled equation because there are two solutions there. So here electric field and magnetic field are together. And one more thing, all these four equations, what do we mean by coupled equations? All these four equations You cannot just directly get electric field from this. You can get electric field from this, but that electric field must satisfy this equation as well and this equation as well. Why? Because all of those equations together represent the electrodynamics, not one or two equations. So if you find some electric field, then that electric field must satisfy both of these equations as well. And if you find magnetic field from this, that must also need to satisfy these two equations as well. So you can find electric field and magnetic field from these two equations. Gauss's law and magnetic monopole does not exist, but that magnetic field and electric field must need to satisfy these two equations. This is our primary purpose. Okay. So that's why we call them coupled equations, because just solving one of them will not give us anything. Okay, just solving one of them will not lead us anywhere. We need to solve all four of them together. That is why they are called coupled equations. Four first ordered coupled equations which describes the electromagnetic field completely. But what happens is generally that we can simplify our task of finding D and B uh, or E and B by introducing potentials of electromagnetic field. So this is another formulation which is called potential formulation. This formulation till this point was known as field formulation. So if you know the field, we know everything in electrodynamics. But eventually, what people tried was to generalize this theory, because this theory is mathematically more complicated. When you try to solve the questions, real life problems using this theory, it is mathematically a little bit more complicated. But this system, we can simplify this task by introducing the potentials of electromagnetic field. What do we mean by potentials? Just like for electric field, we have a potential V. This is potential. So we can always introduce potentials of these fields. So these fields are vector quantity. The potential is can be vector or can be scalar, anything. But if you know these potentials, you can have your way to find the electric field. But the point is that if you somehow can find the equations of potential, instead of four equations, you can just find two equations where you know everything about the potential, then the theory is more appealing. कि भाई अभी चार चार कौन याद रखे, दो में से काम हो रहा है. So that is what we try to do. We try to simplify these four coupled equations, first order differentiations, into some potential formulations, and we want to know that whether can we make the system more easy, because these equations are looking symmetric in some manner, but they are not exactly symmetric. So we want to make those equations looking a little bit more feel good, and our purpose is to find out the potentials corresponding to the fields, both of these fields, E and B. Okay, so this not only reduces the number of equations to solve, but it also makes them decoupled. So our purpose is to reduce these number of equations and to make these equations decoupled. So if you solve just one of them, you can get one of them. Solve two of them, you can get two of them. No problem. Okay, so we want to decrease the number of equations and we want to make these equations decoupled. So to do that, we define two kind of potentials. One is scalar potential phi and one is magnetostatic vector potential A. So we define two kind of potential for that. Now we do not do this. A guy called Lorentz did. So it is always a confusion. So I suppose in this PPT it came to my notice a little bit later, just when I was about to start your class. But this is known as Lorentz conditions and everything. You will listen to this guy's name quite a few times. So this guy's name is Lorentz, not Lorentz. There is no T here. So Lorentz is another guy. Lorentz is the guy for this theory. Lorentz is the guy for special theory of relativity who gave the Lorentz transformation to start special theory of relativity. But this Lorentz is somebody else. So we are going to be studying the theory of Lorentz, not Lorentz. But in this PPT, there is a typing error, which I realized a little later. So maybe you can change it by yourself. So it is Lorentz, not Lorentz. Okay. So our purpose is to find these two scalar, we define these two scalar potentials and try to see what happens. That is our purpose. Can we decrease the number of equations or not? Okay. So that is our purpose. Okay. So let's see how are we defining electromagnetic potentials. So first, let us take equation number 2 of Maxwell's equation. Divergence of B is 0. But from our normal vector analysis, we know that divergence of a curl is always zero. So we know that divergence of a curl is always zero, and since this is divergence of something is zero, you can write that something as curl of some other thing. Okay, so divergence of B is zero, so you can write B as a curl of A, so that this divergence of curl is also zero. So that's why you are defining it as a curl, B as a curl of magnetic vector potential, because you know this, that you, what do you know? You know that divergence of curl is zero, and from second equation you know that B is the divergence of B is zero. So divergence of curl of A is zero, so that's why you are defining B to be curl of A. So let's move to some next equation. So in dynamic case, this allows us to write this, and let's move to the third equation. Let's put this value of B in the third equation. We can put this value of B, curl of E is minus del B by del T. This is the third equation of Maxwell's. You can put this value, and we know that del by del T and delta commutes. So you can change those two guys. So you can take delta out, minus delta is out. Del by del T you can take inside. So it is minus of grade gradient, minus of curl of del A by del T. You can take this guy on this side. So eventually this becomes curl of E plus del A by del T equal to 0. So it becomes curl of something is 0. How will it become? It becomes curl of something is 0. And we know two things. We know two things. One is divergence of curl is 0, and another is curl of, can anybody point me? Curl of something is 0. Curl of gradient is 0. Curl of, so divergence of curl is 0, so that's why we defined B as curl of A. And now divergence, curl of gradient is 0, so you can define this part as gradient of something else, and that is what we call this part, E plus del A by del T, as gradient of gradient of phi. Phi is another kind of scalar potential. Okay, so this is how we reached at this equation. What we did was, we first tried to define this part, then we tried to take the try to apply it from second equation. We moved to third equation. In third equation we place the value, and from that we again realized that, oh, curl of gradient is also 0, so let's take this number as negative gradient of phi. Why negative sign appears? It is purely matter of what do we call, parampara. It is purely matter of convention. तो सदियों से माइनस साइन ले रहे, तो अभी भी माइनस साइन ले रहे. There is no physical meaning attached to this minus sign. Okay, so it is purely because of our convention. But you can write E plus del A by del T as gradient of some scalar function, scalar potential phi. Okay, so we have two guys. One is A. We call this A as a vector potential and magnetic vector potential. And there is another guy which is known as scalar potential. It is scalar potential corresponding to electrostatic field. Okay, so now from this you can rewrite electric field as minus gradient of phi minus del A by del T. So there are two equations with you in form of potentials. So now you can write E in the form of potentials, B in the form of potentials. Very easy to write. Okay, so we have solved two of the Maxwell's equation, equation number 2 and 3, and found out our solutions in terms of A and phi. Okay, so if we know A and phi, we can determine E and B, but still these equations are coupled equations. So just solving two equations does not mean we have solved all four equations. And to know everything about the system, we need to solve all four equations together. So what is the purpose of our next task? Our purpose is to put this value of E and B in other two equations, equation number 1 and equation number 4, and check whether it is leading to the same results or not, or where it is leading. That is what we want to see. Any questions till this point? It is mathematical. Most of the part is mathematical, so I'm not going into. I hope this mathematics is becoming clear. It is very simple mathematics. Any questions? Okay. So let's talk about this. This A is a vector potential, phi is a scalar potential, and we have written B and E in terms of potentials. Now we are going to put these values in some other equations, but before that there is something else. Okay, so any more doubts? So can I wait? I can wait for 5 seconds for any more doubts to be there. Okay, are you guys following this mathematics? Because this is boring mathematics, but eventually at the end we will realize why we are doing this boring mathematics at all. So this is boring mathematics, I know this part, but eventually physics comes in the end. There must be no problem with the mathematical derivation. Okay, so B, okay, so now what is the point? We have defined B equal to curl of A. We have defined it like this, B equal to curl of A. But now if you take some new vector in place of A, which is nothing but A plus grad psi, if you take this new vector, then also curl of A, this becomes curl of A plus curl of gradient, and then also this B is again equal to curl of A. So if even if you add something into this A, what are you adding? Gradient of some scalar potential psi. Even if you add this term into A was a solution for curl of A. Some function A was a solution for this equation, but again the another function A prime, which you can write as A plus gradient psi, is also a solution for any psi whatsoever. So psi is arbitrary scalar function. Any psi, this is also solution for this equation. Again, when we are talking about electric field, okay, so if you change A with A prime, this magnetic field remains unchanged. Okay, but now let's move a next step further. To keep electric field unchanged, what do we need to do? So even if you change A with A prime, the magnetic field is unchanged. So what is our purpose in calculating this? We want to know कि भाई कितने solution हो सकते हैं जो हमें B की वैल्यू दे, A के कितने solution हो सकते हैं. We realize that there can be infinitely many solutions of A. बस आपको एक एक फंक्शन का ग्रेडियंट ही तो ऐड करते जाना है. There can be infinitely many solutions of A. अगर आपको मेन A पता है तो A प्राइम आप कुछ भी बना सकते हो. You just have to add gradient of any scalar function in A, and that is also a solution of B. तो वो भी एक तरीके से मैग्नेटिक फील्ड दिखाएगा. Okay, so changing A with A prime, magnetic field of the universe will not change because it still remains B equal to curl of A. So this is called invariance. This is a very beautiful property of physics. We will call it invariance. Invariance. That means B does not vary even if you change A. You were defining B as curl of A, magnetic field as curl of A, but now even if you change this guy, because this guy is anyways constant, so even if you change this guy to some other guys, B will still not be changed. That means it gives you more general solution. You can add a few guys here and there, but still the answer will be same. So it gives you more general solution, and this is what we require in physics. We want the most general solutions. हमें दुनिया के बारे में सबसे generally fundamentally समझना है, ठीक है, in physics. So we want the most general solutions. So what is our purpose? We want the most general solutions of the equations. So B कौन सी combination से बन सकता है? We realize कि if you can add anything in A, which is a gradient of some scalar, then A prime, that call it an A prime, then B A prime also satisfies B, and B is still the same. So magnetic field का value change नहीं होगा, but the potential can change, vector potential. Similarly, there was another equation number next. It is negative gradient of phi minus del A by del T. So there is another equation, this E equal to negative gradient of phi minus del A by del T. Now, if you want to change this A to A prime, just you want to find any general solution कि भाई phi की जगह क्या use करे और A की जगह क्या use करे, तो E भी constant रहे. So if we write in place of phi prime, which you define it as phi minus del psi by del T, so it is minus grad phi minus plus gradient of del psi by del T minus del by del T, and A prime at the place of A prime, what you can write is A plus grad psi. So you are writing it like this. Now what happens is this becomes minus gradient of phi. This term I am taking it out, so it is minus del A by del T. Still this term is plus gradient of del psi by del t, and here also you can take del by del t inside, so it is minus of del psi by del t minus of gradient of del psi by del t. So both of these terms will cancel out, so eventually here is 0 and electric field is unchanged. So if you change a to a prime and phi to phi prime, eventually our answer is invariant of electric field and magnetic field. So values of electric field and magnetic field is invariant under these transformations. We call them transformation. Transformation is a simple Hindi word, parivartan. Okay, so under these transformations, we are transforming phi to phi minus del psi by del t. Okay, there should be del here, so I'll kindly change this. It is del psi by del t. It is not dt. It is del psi by del t here. So under these transformations of a prime equal to a plus gradient of psi and phi prime equal to phi minus del psi by del t, electric field and magnetic fields values are constant. Therefore, any physical law that is expressed in terms of a and phi remains invariant by this type of transformation. Okay, so आप कोई भी physical law बनाओ. So what do we mean by transformation? We have this law F equal to ma. Okay, we have this law F equal to ma. Now if we want to know कि भाई आप एक रुके हुई फ्रेम में हो, what do you mean by transformation? Laws of physics must be constant under any frame of reference. ठीक है, तो आप रुके हुए हो, दुनिया में जमीन पे खड़े हो and you are observing a block, उस पे F force लग रहा है and it is moving with a acceleration. Okay, so you know this. But now when you are moving with respect to ground, मतलब आप एक ट्रेन में बैठे हो, train is moving with acceleration ax in this direction, तो अब आपके नोटिस में जो फोर्स आएगा वो क्या होगा? इस ब्लॉक पे फोर्स कितना लगेगा, आपको क्या लगेगा? सो इफ यू आर मूविंग इन दिस डायरेक्शन विद एक्सेलरेशन ax, व्हाट यू डू इज, if you are observing from this frame, you apply a pseudo force onto this. Okay, apply a pseudo force. Okay, sorry, laws of physics are same under any inertial frame of reference. तो आप किसी frame of reference से जा रहे हो जो accelerated नहीं है बट कुछ velocity से जा रही है, suppose vx, मतलब आप एक ट्रेन में बैठे हो जो constant velocity से आगे जा रही है, और आप देख रहे हो यहाँ पे रोड पे खड़ा कोई बंदा, लेट्स नेम हिम समथिंग छगन. ओके, रोड पे खड़ा कोई बंदा एक ब्लॉक को पुश कर रहा है, द ब्लॉक इज मूविंग विथ ए एक्सेलरेशन, so छगन इज एबल टू अप्लाई F इक्वल टू ma इन हिज फ्रेम ऑफ रेफरेंस. अब ये F इक्वल टू ma है ना, वो कोई भी फ्रेम ऑफ रेफरेंस जो एक्सेलरेटेड नहीं है उसमें वैलिड होना चाहिए. दैट इज द केस. अगर वो वैलिड नहीं है तो हर अलग अलग केस में कोई चलते हुए आदमी को कुछ अलग दिखेगा, रुके हुए आदमी को कुछ अलग दिखेगा, वो नहीं होना चाहिए. ठीक है, हमें लॉज ऑफ फिजिक्स इनवेरिएंट होने चाहिए. आप कोई भी इनर्शियल फ्रेम एक में से दूसरे में जाओ तो, ठीक है, इनर्शियल फ्रेम मतलब वो फ्रेम वो कांस्टेंट वेलोसिटी से चल रही है. तो इस फ्रेम में अगर आप बैठोगे भी vx वेलोसिटी से इधर जा रहे हो, स्टिल योर एक्सेलरेशन in this direction, acceleration of u in this direction is still zero. So still you will find कि ये ब्लॉक जो है वो इधर इसी एक्सेलरेशन से जा रहा है जो एक्सेलरेशन से जा रहा था, and your law of motion also will look like this, f prime equal to ma prime और f equal to m, क्योंकि एक्सेलरेशन वही दिखेगा आपको जो यहाँ से दिख रहा था. You'll see the same acceleration. So that is the point, laws of physics should be same, मतलब उनका फॉर्मेट सेम होना चाहिए, f equal to ma टाइप. तो मैक्सवेल्स इक्वेशन में whenever you are changing, whenever you are writing E and B, in place of, if you want to write E and B, in place of E and B, if you want to write A and phi, then the physical law is invariant. मतलब वो physical law मतलब दो Maxwell's equation थे, it will remain invariant even if you transform A to A prime and phi to phi prime. And this transformation is known as Gauge transformation, which makes the equation involving them Gauge invariant. Okay, gauge transformation भी बोलते हैं इसको. These equations are known as gauge transformation, gauge transformation, and equations involving them are gauge invariant. Okay, so what is gauge transformation? These two equations are known as gauge transformations of A and phi, because we have transformed A and phi into something else. They are known as gauge transformations. And if you use them into Maxwell's equation, these equations, Maxwell's equations, E and B, are still the same. So in those two Maxwell's equations, equation number 2 and 3 are still the same. So these two equations are known as gauge invariant equations. So these transformations are really मैथमेटिकली इंपॉर्टेंट, जब आप कोई सिस्टम को और जनरली स्टडी करना चाहते हो, यू वांट दीज ट्रांसफॉर्मेशंस एट योर साइड, कि आप कोई भी पोटेंशियल चेंज भी करोगे, इधर उधर थोड़ा बहुत चेंज कर दोगे, यूजिंग दिस, कीपिंग दिस कंडीशंस इन माइंड, the laws of physics will be same. They will be invariant. Electric field and magnetic field in that region will be same. So it gives you a more free hand in choosing what the potential should be. So that is what our happiness is, कि हमें थोड़ा ज़्यादा free hand मिल जाएगा in choosing what is the A and phi, what should be their values. You can take any values. So these transformations are known as Gauge transformations, and equations involving them are gauge invariant equations. So equations which are not varying are called gauge invariant equations, if you change this. So equation Maxwell's second and third equations are gauge invariant. You can say that. We have not checked about first and fourth equation, but we can say that second and third is gauge invariant. Any doubt till this point? I know this is boring mathematics, but we have to go to the end of this part to know what is lying beneath it. Any question in mathematics part till this point, or any other questions? So our purpose is to make this theory more general. That is what our purpose is. In physics, our purpose is always to make theories the most general form possible. Theories in most general form possible. Okay. Questions?
No, sir.
No. Okay, thank you. So now, how to, okay, let us check these equations in equation number 1 and equation number 4. Let's take these two Gauge conditions into equation number 1 and 4, because all four equations must be satisfied simultaneously. That is our purpose. Okay, so let's take in equation number 1, divergence of D equal to divergence of epsilon 0 E, and it is epsilon 0, you can take it out, epsilon 0, divergence of, at the place of E you are putting these gauge conditions, at place of E, this is known as gauge condition. For E you can write this, which is equal to rho. This is the first equation. That means that you take divergence on this side, so divergence of gradient is del square. So you can write this as this. This is del square. Epsilon 0 you are taking in the denominator of this term, so it is rho by epsilon 0. So it is minus del square phi, and del by del t and gradient are commuting. So you can change both of them. It becomes divergence of A and del by del t outside. So this is one equation coming from equation number 1 of Maxwell's equation. Okay, now let's go for another equation number 4, Maxwell's equation number 4. Let's put the values there as well. So fourth equation looks like this: curl of H equal to J plus del D by del T. We took del D by del T this side. Okay, so it becomes H is B by mu and D is epsilon 0 E. So you must remember this: H is equal to B by mu and D is epsilon 0 E in case of no polarization or no magnetization. These are the properties in case of no polarization and no magnetization. These are the properties. Okay, but they are easy. This is known as electric field, magnetic field intensity. This is electric displacement vector. Two guys are there. So you just changing H with B by mu and D by epsilon 0 E. Now at the place of B, what will you put? Can anybody tell me in terms of potential? In terms of potential, what will you put in terms of at place of B? Just as in place of E, we placed this number. In place of B, what should we put? Can you tell me? Okay. How did we derive relation between this? Divergence of B is 0. So divergence of something is 0. Divergence of curl is 0. So you can write B as curl of A. Derived it just a few moments ago. So divergence of B is 0. So you can put at the place of B curl of A, and at the place of E you can put this condition, which we also derived. So both the gauge condition, if you are putting there, so at place of B curl of A, place of E this equation. So yes, there is a vector identity here. If you know this, there is a vector identity, curl of A. There is a vector identity involved in this. This is triple scalar product, so you can eventually open it like this. So middle vector is always positive, and dot product between these two guys minus the last vector and dot product between these two guys. So it is this. This is the vector identity involving this term. So at place of this term, you can write this. We have written that it is minus of del square A plus gradient of divergence of A. And the other term, you write it directly, just directly. So mu you multiplied at both the places. So it is mu j, mu epsilon naught. Mu epsilon naught del by del t, gradient of phi, just multiplied at both the sides. Gradient of phi and del square A by del t square. Now let's move forward. So this equation I wrote again here. Okay. Now, this is the equation from equation number 4 of Maxwell's equation. From equation number 1, we also received something. From equation number 1, the last equation we received was this. This was the last equation we obtained from equation number 1 after solving equation number 1. And after solving equation number 4, this is the last equation that we obtained. But in this condition, in this equation, if you take this divergence of A, if you take this divergence of A equal to minus mu epsilon naught del phi by del t, so that these two terms cancel out, this condition of taking these two guys equal is known as Lorentz gauge condition. So it is Lorentz gauge condition. This condition is known as Lorentz gauge condition. If you take this divergence of A equal to minus of mu epsilon naught del phi by del t, so these two terms cancel out, and this equation, how will it look like? It looks like minus of del square A plus mu epsilon naught del square A by del t square equal to mu j. This equation looks like this. But now, this mu epsilon naught, we all know that speed of light is known as c, and c is 1 upon under root mu naught epsilon naught. This is the speed of an electromagnetic wave. So in place of mu epsilon naught, you can write 1 upon c square. So that is what we have written. In place of mu epsilon naught, we have written 1 upon c square. So del square A plus mu naught epsilon naught del square A by del t square equal to mu 0 j. This equation becomes that. But if you apply the same condition onto the equation obtained here, into the equation obtained here, we put, what do we put? This equal to 1 by c square minus 1 by c square del square pi by del t square. That is what we placed at this point in place of divergence of A. If you put at the place of divergence of A this equation, then it becomes negative of grade square pi plus 1 by c square, oh sorry, del phi by del t. It's not del square by pi by del t square, but only del phi by del t. So this becomes del square phi by del t square equal to rho by epsilon naught. So there comes two equations. The first equation looks like this: del square A minus the same, we wrote it here. So it is del square A minus mu epsilon naught del square this. And the second equation, if we obtain it from the equation obtained from the first equation, the second equation looks like this: del square phi minus mu epsilon naught this. Can you see something here? These equations are highly symmetrical. And you first needed to solve 4 equations, which are Maxwell's equation, to obtain E and B. But now all those 4 equations are reduced into just these 2 equations. If you believe this Lorentz gauge condition, then all those 4 equations are reduced into just these 2 equations. And these 2 equations are highly symmetrical. They are really very symmetrical. You can see this. There is second order time derivative, second order space derivative. This side contains the source terms, all the source terms like current and charge and all those things. This side contains the source terms, and this side is highly symmetrical. So this is known as Lorentz gauge, Lorentz gauge. So Lorentz gauge is very wise choice, because we got 2 independent equations. Now there is no E and B coupled here. You can solve one and you can solve other, doesn't matter. You can solve one directly, you can solve other directly. They are not coupled now. So both having the same form, they are completely symmetric, and only 2 equations are there instead of all 4 equations. So if you solve these two guys, you know A and epsilon, A and phi. Yes, and one more beautiful thing is initially you had to solve 6 components: Ex, Ey, Ez, Bx, By, Bz. Now, how many components do you need to solve? Can anybody tell me? Oh, you guys are sleeping exceptionally, really well. Now, if you have only these two equations, we need to solve A vector and phi. This phi is only one component because it is a scalar function. For this, we have 3 components. So total only 4 components we need to solve. For 4 components, we need to solve only 2 equations. Okay, and they are independent. They are not even coupled. So if we know these two guys, we can find out E and B because we know the relation. E equal to negative gradient of phi minus del A by del T, and B equal to curl of A. So this is our purpose of doing all these calculations. So Lawrence did this calculation and eventually figured out कि आप 4 Maxwell equations solve करो, life becomes more complicated. You can solve these 2 equations, life becomes really easy. You have to only solve 4 components, 2 equations, and they are not coupled. So you can choose to solve any one of them. आपको अगर मैग्नेटिक फील्ड की जरूरत है तो इसी को सॉल्व करो, इसको क्यों करोगे? Solve this equation. So this is how our life becomes easier after so much mathematics. So it is called Lorentz gauge condition. After Lorentz gauge condition, we came to 2 equations which are equivalent to Maxwell's equations. तो Maxwell के 4 equation थे. Those all 4 equations, if you want to combine together, तो उनको combine करके आप press करोगे तो you get only 2 equations, and those 2 equations now define the complete electrodynamics. Complete electrodynamics. This is the generalization we were talking about.
So this was the reason why we did the derivation, right? The generalization of Maxwell's equation.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So this was the reason why we did this derivation. Yes.
So now instead of verifying with 4 equations, we just have 2 equations. So if we memorize this, we'll be able to verify.
Solve any problem in real life. Yes. So actually you guys are doing this. Actually you guys, the unit, the electrodynamics 2 unit is there in your syllabus. There you are actually using these 2 equations to find out the potential generated by a moving charge particle. You are finding out कि भाई एक charge है वो accelerated होगा एक charge particle, so how will it generate radiation? To know that radiation, you are not mostly working with these fields, you are working with these potentials in that unit. I don't know which book are you following, but in that there is a wonderful when I did learn that part, I learned it by potential formulation. So you can just understand these potentials, you can calculate these potential, and using that potential you can calculate these fields. But you can only solve these 2 equations to know the behavior of charge while you are doing, I hope you are doing a lot more mathematics in electrodynamics unit 2, and I hope you are getting so much physics as well, because that unit is completely filled with physics and mathematics. So you have to do mathematics for about 50 minutes, then you get wonderful physics for about 10 to 15 minutes, which is very, very applicable to you guys as an electronic students. You must know that physics coming after the mathematics. So I hope you are learning it there. So you are learning, I don't know which book are you following. I hope
so same book, sir. B.B. Loud.
Okay, B.B. Loud. I don't know. Yes, in B.B. Loud, the formulation is using potential or electric fields. What are you writing there always? That unit. In that unit, I suppose you are writing. I don't know. So we will talk about that. But when I studied that chapter in my masters, when there we used to use this potential formulation to do that. So instead of 4 equations, we had only 2 equations, which are fine, wonderful. Only 4 components we had to solve, and from that 4 components, we eventually derived B and D. So we got the field charge. Okay. So any more questions? We'll talk about more about physics. This is just a glimpse कि भाई हमने इतना क्यों किया mathematics, because we wanted to generalize और mathematically काम आसान होगा. बट मैथमेटिकली काम आसान करके इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स वालों को क्यों पढ़ा रहे हैं हम? दैट इज द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन विच वी हैव टू आंसर. Why we are teaching this to you guys who are having electronics? Because this is generalization which is applicable to physics students. The reason is something else. Okay, something wonderful reason is there. So we'll talk about the reason as because I still need one more lecture to actually give you the full picture of the reason. That's why I'm holding myself. Okay, so Lorentz gauge is very judicious choice. Just till then, just stay with me. I just believe in me that I will give you the proper reason why are you studying these mathematics. Just till then, I am explaining it from the physicist point of view. We physicists generally what we do is we are interested in the theory and the physics after the theory. But electronic students, in my opinion, are generally interested in the application part of this theory. In my opinion, because you are identical to the engineering students. So engineering students are generally interested in the application part of this theory. But why are we doing all this mathematics? Because it is applied somewhere wonderfully. Okay, in so many places. So we'll talk about that. Okay, so I'm just giving you my physicist point of view that we decoupled these equations and made them into simple equations with only 4 components to solve. So it is very wise choice, and we get a lot of output from using these Lorentz gauge conditions. Okay, so let's check that if we change a by a prime and phi by phi prime, do these equations change their form or not? That is our purpose. We want to know if we change a by a prime and phi by phi prime, just as we did in Gauss transformations, will these equations change their form or not? Because electric field and magnetic field were not changing their form. तो अगर यहाँ पे ए प्राइम और फाई प्राइम रखा और इस इक्वेशन ने फॉर्म चेंज कर लिया, मतलब कि कुछ गड़बड़ है. अगर हमने यहाँ पे ए की जगह ए प्राइम और फाई की जगह फाई प्राइम रखा और इन्होंने इक्वेशन ने फॉर्म चेंज कर लिया, apart from this beautiful looking symmetrical form, if they are changing their form, then there is some problem in our calculation. Because if they are changing their form, it means that we are having another a and another phi, and from another a and another phi we are definitely going to get another e and another b. But just by Lorentz gauge transformation, you are not supposed to get another value of e and b. But if we put a prime and phi prime here, and if we are getting another value of a and b, a and phi, and eventually e and b, that means we are wrong somewhere. So we just want to check that. Let's put the Gauss transformation in this. तो हमें पता चलेगा कि अगर हमें a प्राइम और phi प्राइम यहाँ पे रखा अगर और ये इक्वेशंस चेंज हो गए, इसका मतलब ये इक्वेशन में कुछ गड़बड़, हमने कुछ गलत डिराइव कर दिया. बिकॉज इफ दीज इक्वेशंस आर चेंजिंग एंड गिविंग अस डिफरेंट वैल्यूज ऑफ इलेक्ट्रिक फील्ड एंड मैग्नेटिक फील्ड, तो वो गड़बड़ है ना, क्योंकि इलेक्ट्रिक फील्ड और मैग्नेटिक फील्ड गॉस ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन के अंदर चेंज नहीं हो रहे थे. वी कैलकुलेटेड इट अंडर गॉस ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन, दे वर नॉट चेंजिंग. बट नाउ लेट्स सप्लाई दिस Lorentz gauge condition under Gauss transformation. This is Lorentz gauge condition under Gauss transformation. We want to apply that. So this is the first equation. Okay, so what is Lorentz gauge condition? It is divergence of A equal to minus mu epsilon naught del phi by del t. Let's put it, divergence of A minus mu equal to minus mu epsilon naught. We took it this side, so this is Lorentz gauge condition. Let's take Gauss transformation of this. Instead of A, there is A prime, phi, there is phi prime. A prime is written as A plus grad psi, and phi prime is written as phi minus del psi by del t. Let's do some mathematics. Just take divergence of the first part. Divergence of gradient is del square. Then you can take del psi by del t of this part, and then what you can have is minus of del square by del psi square. This is the equation. Now this divergence of A plus mu epsilon naught del phi by del t is equal to 0. So you can cancel both of these guys, and eventually what you have is del square psi minus mu epsilon naught del square psi by del t square. So even when you applied your Gauss transformations to your Lorentz gauge condition, you got the equation which is identical to this equation. So let's talk about this. So you got this equation which is absolutely identical to these two equations, because there is also del square here and minus mu epsilon naught del square by del t square here. And since that psi that we added in Gauss transformation, this psi that we added in Gauss transformation is any arbitrary scalar field, it should not correspond to any source. So in the right side we have 0 because there is no source, because that term is arbitrary. You can add anything, and since you can add anything, it should not correspond to any source. So the source term here, which was either j or rho, both are 0. So that's why the right side is 0. And hence, this Gauss transformations preserves the Lorentz condition. And that's why Lorentz conditions can be obtained. So what we did was we obtained this Lorentz condition from the first principles of electromagnetic theory. Okay, so this Lorentz condition, we just had this intuition of doing this. तो ये कहाँ से आया हमारे दिमाग में, लॉरेंस के दिमाग में कहाँ से आया था? तो he studied some basic electromagnetic theory which is not part of your syllabus right now, but eventually he used this, which is not part of your syllabus because it is mathematically a little bit more complicated. So this Lorentz conditions can be derived from more elementary electromagnetic theory, but it is not in your syllabus. But to our surprise, if we use these Lorentz gauge transformations, Gauss transformations, then we obtain two equations which are identical. Okay, if we use Lorentz gauge condition, then we get two equations which are identical to Maxwell's equation. Now, हमने किया क्या पूरी अभी जो आज हमने पूरा जो क्लास है उसमें हमने किया क्या? What we did was that we actually did, let me find a blank page. Okay, so we had electric field and magnetic field from 4 equations and 6 components. So 4 equations and 6 components. So instead of these guys, we defined A and phi. So they were total 2 equations and 4 components. So our life became a lot more easier. And we eventually found out to do that, we had to assume something. We had to assume this. We call it Lorentz condition. This is the Lorentz condition. We had to assume this. This can be derived from elementary electrodynamics. We are not deriving it right now, but अगर हम इसे assume कर लेते हैं, तो we can get to this part where 2 equations are exactly symmetrical. And even also in this, to these equations also, if you are, or to this condition also, you can, if you apply Gauss transformations to this condition also, we are not getting any change in terms of A and phi. तो इक्वेशन का जो फॉर्म है, जो इस इक्वेशन का फॉर्म था, वैसा ही फॉर्म रिटर्न रहता है, इक्वल टू 0 होके, बिकॉज इन दीज इक्वेशंस इक्वल टू करके जो राइट साइड में टर्म थे वो सोर्स टर्म थे, बट हियर दिस इक्वेशन turns out to be in the form of that arbitrary scalar function. वो scalar function में कोई source नहीं होता, because that function is arbitrary, so there should not be any source term corresponding to that scalar function which is arbitrary. So source term should be 0 and it comes out to be 0. तो हमने बस हर तरीके से सेटिस्फाई कर लिया कि हमारा जो ये काम था, जो हमने किया था, was it valid enough or not. तो हमने चारों इक्वेशन को कंबाइन करके, कपल करके सॉल्व किया और ये चीज निकाली, और बाद में हमने उसको चेक भी कर लिया एक बार कि भाई गॉस कंडीशन को सेटिस्फाई कर रहे हैं कि नहीं, तो कर रहे हैं. सो इफ दे आर सेटिस्फाइंग गॉस कंडीशन, दैट इज फाइन विद अस, बिकॉज गॉस कंडीशन ही कहती है कि यू कैन चेंज ए एंड फाई, स्टिल द इलेक्ट्रिक फील्ड एंड मैग्नेटिक फील्ड विल नॉट चेंज. तो दिस इक्वेशन मस्ट आल्सो सेटिस्फाई गॉस कंडीशन, बिकॉज हम इसका यूज कर रहे हैं, तो ये भी सेटिस्फाई कर रहा है गॉस कंडीशन. सो दिस इज अवर trajectory of this whole class. I hope you got this. It was simple mathematics, but in terms of lot more variables. That. So any doubts till this point?
No, sir.
Okay. So to give you the bigger picture that why we are doing this, we'll need one more class. And can we keep that class tomorrow? Tomorrow afternoon, 2 to 3. What is your take? But there are only 4 students now. Huh.
Okay, sir.
Can we keep that, right?
Yeah.
We can keep
Yes,
that.
sir.
Okay, thank you. So we'll keep this class tomorrow afternoon at the same time.